I can't wait to see the plans. I'm sure Tom Wagner and the architects have come up with a fantastic state-of-the-art modern design. I can't wait to see it. And I think that's going to be a big day for the club. Just excitement-wise.
I think what will make it better as well, because to the Blues fans, the priority is what goes on the pitch and the position, the league table, and how we're playing. And I think it'll be even better when those plans come out if we're on a good run, a bit of momentum as well. Welcome back to BCFC Royal Blue. In this podcast, myself and Matt will be doing another one of our unscripted podcasts where we just have a general chat about what's going on in the Blues, give our thoughts on certain things, and just really seeing where the conversation goes, really, with no particular agenda. Now, it's worth mentioning that at the time of recording, we're recording this podcast just before the Millwall game, and the reason for that is that Matt is away all week with work. So the comments that we're going to be making in this podcast, just take into account it's before the Millwall game. So obviously we've just come off the back of a great result against Portsmouth. And if the wheels do fall off against Millwall, which I hope by the time we record it, by the time this goes out, it doesn't, then obviously views from Blues fans might be quite different. But that's the danger. But we just felt we wanted to put another podcast out just while Matt's away, and just to give our thoughts. So, Matt, is there anything on your mind that you want to get kicked off with?
What's really funny, as you say, Dad, at the minute, the room, if you read the room, it's really positive, happy. But as soon as we lose against Millwall, the comments will just be catastrophic.
But by the time it goes out, we could have actually hammered Millwall.
Yeah, well, there you go.
They could have got beaten, or and that's football, isn't it? That's the journey of football.
That sums up being a Blues fan, doesn't it? Cloud 9 on Saturday, 0-0 by Tuesday coming around, isn't it? So that sort of explains the life of a Blues fan.
It's just, I can imagine some people watching the podcast, Matt, after the Millwall game, what are they talking about that for and stuff like that. I suppose that's the danger with like recording before a game, isn't it? Which we don't do very often, to be fair. So
no, we don't.
We always are normally on point in terms of previews and post-match podcast. But it's just that Matt is away for the whole week, away at work, and we obviously, because we're studio based, we have to both be here to be in the studio. Yeah. So
it's quite a rare occurrence, thankfully, that I'm away for the whole week, but it does happen from time to time. But so I think as I sit in front of you right now, Dad, I'm really on that roller coaster of football. If you just take the last 3 games in isolation here, because they're the most sort of 3 recent ones, that we win against Preston and we find a different way to win. It was gritty, we hung in there, we had that defensive battle, really good set piece goal. Then against Bristol City, it was like banging your head against the wall, lots of possession but no chances. The game just sort of fizzled out and we got caught against the run of play, really disappointing. And then best performance of the season against Portsmouth. So there's 3 really random different experiences as a Blues fan this past week for me. And I'm kind of in that zone where I'm like, because we do a podcast, Dad, obviously keeping up with the comments, oh, that was good, that was rubbish, let's do this. And then also, the work life, family life, it is busy for us. But I think at the minute I'm right in that perfect stream of football madness where it's all over the place. There's wins, there's losses, there's good performance, bad performance. It's kind of the Blues chaos train that we're on so often, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's like being a boxer, isn't it? 1 minute you're on your feet, next minute you actually punch to the ground, then you're staggering up, and then you get another, you add a few punches yourself. And that is the life of a football fan. And I think as well, Matt, as Birmingham City supporters, we obviously over the years have had that journey, really, where we've had poor owners and lost a load of games, and then we had great owners come in, Knighthead and Tom Wagner at the helm, and it was all positive. It is all still positive, and all the news, which we'll talk about in a minute, about the sports quarter, which I wanted to touch on. But and we still have that mindset, though. So it does seem to be doom and gloom in the end of the world when we lose a game. But the problem with the Championship is that will happen, and the reality is we're in a league that you can do that. You can have a week where you have a grind out a performance. You can have a week where you've lost a game and you're scratching your head saying we didn't do anything, and you think, we've had the best performance of the season. But this is the Championship, and I think we have to be prepared for that as Blues fans. I don't know what you think, that we are going to get more losses. We are going to get more points in the season, I think, where we're going to have frustrating games and results. But we're in the Championship, and it's great to be back in the Championship. And of course, everybody has aspirations to get to the Premier League. Tom Wagner and Knighthead have made it very clear that's where we're going and that's where he expects us to be. But there is still a reality of the journey you have to take to get there, and it's not just click your fingers, spend a bit of money, and it just happens. And we've seen it already, haven't we, this season?
We have. It takes time. A classic Championship story of this season, and it's happened loads already. Bristol City were undefeated at home. Oxford hadn't won on the road, and they beat them at Ashton Gate. And so, there's just all these stories that pop up week to week, every week in the Championship. We go, how on earth has that happened? And, there's always random results. There's always surprise. And I think that's the beauty of the Championship, in my opinion. It's why it's arguably one of the best leagues in the world. It's because on the day, anyone can beat anyone. And we've said this recently, Dad, over this season. This really is a wide open Championship season.
Would you have thought, Matt, and be honest, at the start of the season, after 13 games, you'd look at the league table and you'd be looking down near the bottom. Norwich, second bottom. Sheffield United, third bottom. Southampton are about fifth bottom. Leicester and West Brom are similar in mid-table and below us. And then you've got the likes of the top. You've got near
Coventry,
Coventry don't surprise me because I think I mentioned earlier in the season that I think this is their year, and I still stand by that. Middlesbrough, Stoke, Bristol City, Preston.
Yeah.
Millwall. Yeah, and they're all. It's almost like a strange.
And in
table.
mid-table, you've got like Blues, Watford. And then a little bit further down, you've got Swansea. Everyone's kind of a little bit...
I think we've been for the whole league table, haven't we?
But it is true, though, isn't it? It's such a random Championship season. And because Leicester, Southampton and... Who's the other one that got relegated, Dad? Leicester, Southampton, Ipswich. Because they're not all firing as historically relegated teams do. If you think of the last couple of years, Dad, your Leedses, your Burnleys... even your Sheffield United, fair enough. I know the last couple of years hasn't quite worked. They normally come down and just destroy the league, don't they?
Yeah.
Straight back up, no real eyelids batted, really. But it's not the same this year.
No.
And the fact that Leicester, Southampton and Ipswich aren't firing yet.
And all of the promoted teams, including us, are doing okay.
Yeah,
So obviously
exactly.
Charlton are, a couple of places above us at the time of recording. We are sort of mid-table, and Wrexham just a few places below us. None of us are struggling near the bottom.
No.
So obviously you've got all the teams that have come up that are doing okay, and the teams that have come down are struggling. Ipswich, I think, are starting.
They will get better.
Well, they are. I think they are in ninth now at the time of recording, and they're getting better. But it's not the type of stereotypical season that you normally get with this type of season.
And again, Dad, appreciate the Millwall game has happened, but we've recorded it before. So obviously a difficult question to answer. But let's just pretend the Millwall games happened and whatever's happened. What do you see, or what's your evaluation to the start of the season so far as a Blues fan?
It's solid. I mean, again, we keep saying this at the time of recording. We've got 18 points out of 13 games. I don't think that's too bad. I think if someone had said that to me game week 1, I think I'll take that. I know we had all the hype in the summer about we're going to do double promotion and we bought all these players and all that, but we know as Blues fans, don't we? We know the Championship. We know we've been there probably longer than any team, apart from the season we got relegated, which was last season. I think it's been a solid start. I think the Preston win and the Portsmouth win have put us in a position now. 18 points out of 13 games is good. Clearly, there'll be hopefully more points added to that when we've played the Millwall game. But I think that's okay. And for me, I think if we just keep pressing, in terms of results and performances, and just see how many points we can accumulate. So, what's your thoughts? Do you think we've made a good start?
We have to remember, there still has been a lot of turnover at Blues. Chris Davies, it's his first season in the Championship as a manager. I know he did very well in League One last year. Some fans don't like this excuse. And it's not even an excuse, really, but I think it is a fair observation. It does take time for these players to gel. And I know some fans are like, you've got to be more ruthless than that. We're a good team, they're professional footballers. But sadly, football just doesn't work like that. It does take time. Kyogo makes all these runs, Stansfield makes all these runs, Paik, Iwata, Tommy Doyle in the midfield, how that relationship works with the wingers and the link-up play and reading their runs, knowing what they're going to do, that takes time to learn each other's games in and out. And I think we're starting to see more positive play. We start to do more like we did against Portsmouth, not Bristol City. I think we're in for a fantastic season. I still think that we'll push in the top half of the table, but football's unpredictable. The Championship's a difficult season, difficult league to be in, and there's no doubt about it, Dad. If we do struggle, I think we could end up having a bit of a consolidation season, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that either.
I think that's fine. I think
that's fine as well.
That's fine because we will build again, and that's the thing, Have a good season in terms of being competitive as we can, and aiming to sort of finish as high as we possibly can. But we know that transfer windows come around quick, so if you're in a position where you're consolidating, you can just add more quality to your team, and obviously that's something I think we need to do. I think that's how successful teams happen, because if we go up too quickly, we're going to come straight back down again. No matter how much Knighthead want to spend. Look at or they've done quite well actually this season. To be fair, Sunderland they spent well over 100 million in the
150. I heard.
Yeah, but they're doing quite well. But not every team's going to do that, and not every team will be able to do that based upon their financial situation. I think we probably could because of all the revenue and all the stuff that's going on outside of the football.
But Sunderland did it quite well, didn't they, Dad? They were in League One 4 or 5 seasons ago. They came up. They did very well in their first season. I believe it might have even been the season they played Luton in the playoffs. Didn't quite make it. Then they had a little bit of another consolidation. Then they cracked on again and got promoted. So they did it well, didn't they? They pushed, they built, and then eventually they got there. And now they're up there. They're making a real crack of it. So actually,
I know a lot of Blues fans. Well, not necessarily Blues fans, but all fans will say, well, if you're in a position to challenge for the playoffs and automatics, then do it.
Yeah.
If you go up and you come back down, at least you've been up and you get your parachute payments. You come down, you build again. So I'll get that side of it.
There's logic in that as well.
There is, but you've seen that getting relegated, and you look at Southampton last season. They got 12 points in the whole season.
Look at Luton,
and look at Luton as well. But if you look to take Southampton because they're in our league, they're used to losing in the Premier League, and they've came back and they brought that down with them because they've only won 2 games this season. So far. So you got to ask yourself, do we go too quickly and end up having that type of problem, or do we just go for it and then accept that it's going to be tough and then see what happens? But you never know. We've been used to, Matt, before we got relegated, haven't we? As Blues fans, we've been used to fighting relegation for 7 or 8 seasons.
Dead cert, but to finish between 16th and 24th.
But in a lot of those seasons, we have been having to have something on the last game, so we've been fighting relegation, haven't we?
Yeah, absolutely.
So for me, coming back into the Championship and just not being in that mix at the bottom would be good, right? And obviously, I know with the investment that Knighthead have put into our club and particularly into the playing squad, Knighthead would want more than that, and I get that. But if I'm honest, as a Blues fan, I'd be happy with us just being competitive this season. Yeah, if we get to the playoffs, fine. But if we're competitive and then we just build again, keep building. That's what I would.
And Chris Davies is the man for you to do it.
Yeah, because I think that he is the man to do it. I think he's learning as he goes along, and I think he's learning. When you listen to him in his post-match interviews, you can tell that he's obviously accepting and identifying certain things that aren't right. And I think as well, I don't know. I'm not in his head, but I'm just imagining that he's looking at the stats and he's thinking, where we were actually sort of more effective with less possession. So he might be thinking, well, actually, if that's the case, then maybe that's why, instead of obviously, as he talks about pounding the rock, he might give a bit more freedom to the opposition to have the ball and give us the opportunity to break them. Because a lot of our points, if you look at the games that we've picked up points, particularly the wins, we haven't had the most possession, And so I think that Chris Davies is learning as he goes along, and I think he's the man to take us forward. I do.
I agree.
And I think he's starting to show now a little bit of adaptability as well. You can see that in the way that he sets his teams up and the way that sometimes he will adjust things slightly. Probably, some fans would argue maybe not enough, but then he's the manager, so he's the one that has to make those choices at the time, not us. And we can easily look in from the outside and say, should have done this and should have done that. But ultimately, he's got us to a reasonable good start, and I think we'll get better as well.
Well, we're just fans, Dad, that love talking about the Blues on a podcast. We're not football managers. We don't know the ins and outs of it. We'd like to think that we could have a good crack at it, I guess, but we're not actually football managers. Chris Davies gets paid a lot of money to do the job he gets paid to do, so you got to trust the decisions that get made, don't you?
Didn't you win the Champions League though, in Football Manager?
I did. I took Accrington Stanley for Champions League final.
Birmingham City, when Chris Davies has run his course, he's your new manager.
I had a friend when I was younger, Ashley as well. We used to be obsessed with this game called Football Manager. I mean, it's still out there. It's still a great game, but the amount of times we'd start a game and just redo it because the season wasn't going the way we wanted to. Obviously, Chris Davies doesn't have that fortune, does he, to redo it? I think that he's getting there. I think he's starting to know his first and starting 11 as well, which is good because I think there's something to be said for having a consistent starting 11. I don't even think we got that until November in League One as well under Chris Davies. So it takes some time sometimes to test stuff and figure out players and their positions. But onwards and upwards, that I think we are on a good trajectory, even if that means this season that we consolidate a little bit. Yeah. If we make the playoffs and the automatics, I'm not going to be the pessimistic one that says, anything about it. I would be loving it. I'd be absolutely loving it as a fan if we did that. But as you said, if I'm putting my mature cap on in the Championship, happy for a consolidation season, then we push on next time. And
I'm sure there's some fans that say, "Oh, come on, lads! The Knighthead have spent all this money. Let's be optimistic." But there is that balance between optimistic, pessimistic, and realistic. And I think that's where we need to be, is realistic about where we are on this journey at the moment. I think as well.
To be fair, again, just to be a little bit more glass half full, I guess, than what we just mentioned as well. There, we have the manager and the squad to be in the top half of the table and be very much respected there and win points there. I have no doubt about it.
The season's not just started, we are now in that. But again, there's all sorts of factors involved in that in terms of like injuries. And one player I did want to sort of get your opinion on as well is Fujimoto. It's a strange one, mate.
I can't give an opinion because we haven't even seen him.
No, I mean, no, the opinion not on him playing, but I mean his opinion on what things happening with him.
I don't have a clue. Yeah. We've done this a couple of times now, haven't we? Where we brought these players in, they've had a bit part, and then they've gone. And it's like, where was the decision and the recruitment mentality behind that? What value do they see to bring them in and then just to sit them on the bench? I don't get it. And especially when we've been crying out for a solid and consistent number 10. Fujimoto is actually a number 10. He can play on the right and he can play right wing. He's actually a 10. So why haven't they decided to give him a go? Clearly, there's something.
All I can think of, Matt, is that because he's now he came injured, but I believe he's now fit because he's on the bench, and that's where he stays. And I think all I can think of is that Chris Davis just don't fancy him. He's probably thinks he's got better options, and then I think that means, in my opinion, we could see him going out on loan or even being sold in January because there's no point in him sitting on our bench. He's just keeping the bench warm. He's not having any chance or impact at all. And even when we have injuries, where we've brought Chris Davis has made substitutions, he doesn't seem to look at Fujimoto as an option. It's a little bit like Samstead, really, isn't it?
A bit, yeah. And I think that if you're playing Kumas and Keshi Anderson in the 10 over an actual proper focused number 10, there's a problem there, isn't there?
Yeah.
Why are you trying Kumas and Keshi Anderson when you have a number 10? He's
maybe
played in the Portuguese top flight as well. It's not as if he's coming from League 2 in the English game. He's came from a decent standard. There's a disconnect there, isn't there?
I don't quite understand it, and I think that Chris Davis obviously has taken a look at him and. It's just decided that he's not for us, and again, that's again. I think that if that is the case, let's say he does get loaned out or goes out in January or gets sold, I think the recruitment need to look at that because why is he coming in the first place?
Agreed.
But I suppose you can only tell when you get him in and get him trained as well.
Yeah.
So really, what do you think then? Do you think we're doing much business in January?
That is a very good question. I've been so focused on the season and the games that we've been playing. I haven't really thought about it. I think we will.
Yeah.
I think we will make some moves in January. I don't think there's going to be a 15 million last minute deadline day Stansfield-esque signing of some kind, but I think we might look to strengthen a few areas. I think we might look to maybe add some depth in the 10, maybe add some depth at left back.
Yeah.
I think our business in January will be light touch, but it will be to add depth or fill any gaps in the squad that Chris Davis thinks he needs filling.
I think left back is definitely one we need competition. I was going to say cover, but I don't think it should be cover anymore. It is competition. It's like Laird and Brighton. Now it's got a Water in the mix for the right back thing.
Yeah,
it's good competition. So I think of that. I think maybe the 10 as well. But I suppose it does depend because at the time of recording we're only in the beginning of November, so it depends on what injuries we get and also the form of players from now until the end of the year. That'll determine, because if we get a bad injury, and I hope we don't, but if we did get a bad injury, then we might need to get players in. But don't forget, we have still got the likes of Williamson, Buchanan, Scott Wright, and Ethan Laird, all out injured, and they're all players that in positions that would add real depth and competition to those positions.
My only question mark would be Scott Wright there. Maybe not quite up to scratch or where we are with the quality we have now. But apart from that, I think everyone else holds value. And by the way, I know this isn't a Scott Wright podcast. Just my observation there is thinking I don't think he might be up to the mark of what we have now in terms of Patrick Roberts.
I from what I saw of him when he did play, I liked him in terms of he had a burst of pace, but it was just the inconsistency, wasn't it? And it was injuries as well.
Exactly.
That's the thing. Obviously, if we can get Lee Buchanan back fit into the new year, then that solves that problem for competition in left back position with
if I'm being really picky, I think we could do with more depth / competition at left back, number 10, and also a Waters defensive mid kind of position, because at the minute we obviously have Paik and Tommy Doyle. We do have Leonard there as well. It would be nice just to get an Iwata 2.0 in there. Just again, I'm talking more depth,
like an enforcer.
Yeah.
Type of thing, yeah.
Yeah, because when Iwata isn't in there, fair enough. Tommy Doyle and Mark Leonard have been doing fantastic, actually, in his absence when he's been at right back. Totally get that. But I'm thinking of an absolute unit of a break-up play disruptor centre mid, just an absolute brick house who just take a bit like a Clara centre defensive mid. But yeah, that's just my thoughts.
I think if we're going to look at new players, then I think we need more height and physicality in the team, just across the team, really.
Yeah, agreed.
So that will be interesting to see what happens in January. But I say, what we do will be determined now by. I'm sure they're already planning for it, but it will be determined by any injuries. Or players going out of form. Just one final thing, Matt, as well. Obviously, we'll later this month we'll have the new stadium designs, which will be shown to the world. You excited about that?
I can't wait. Yeah, it should be fun. You know, we said on a recent podcast that, you know, rival fans and just the footballing community in general will be doubting this until the day it's actually up and running.
We'll get all the comments.
Of course we will, but the fact that when we actually see building plans though, and we see diggers on the site and stuff, it just makes it feel like it's actually ticking along and things are becoming even more real or true and realistic. So I can't wait to see the plans. I'm sure Tom Wagner and the architects have come up with a fantastic state-of-the-art modern design. I can't wait to see it. And I think that's going to be a big day for the club. Just excitement-wise.
I think what makes it better, what will make it better as well, because to the Blues fans, the priority is what goes on the pitch and the position, the league table, and how we're playing. And I think it'll be even better when those plans come out if we're on a good run, you know, a bit of momentum as well. And we will get all the comments. I'm sure all the fans from other clubs have already written some
saved in their drafts.
Yeah, they're saved in their drafts. You know, how are you going to fill that stadium? That'll look great in League One, and it's so predictable. And the doubters, and I don't care about the doubters. I don't, you know, because they don't know our club. They don't know what's going on. But it's really exciting, and you know we're actually going to see what the stadium is going to look like for the first time ourselves. And okay, you will get ridiculed and ripped because that's what fans do from other clubs, and let them do it. You know, I say Blues fans just enjoy it and just laugh and smile and just. But as I say, what makes a difference though, it does matter. Even though that's happening, it does matter what's going on the pitch.
Of course it does.
To the Blues fans.
Of course it does.
Because like if we were struggling in the lower half of the table, then the plans come out. It just takes the edge off it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Because everyone.
But again, Dad, this is a 5-year plan, isn't it? You know, in terms of having the stadium built, you know, 5 years, 5 seasons in football is a long, long time. So I think even, you know, we'll be a completely different club when that day comes as well. Hopefully playing Premier League football. Who knows where we'll be? I don't have that crystal ball. But yeah, you're right. It feels a lot nicer when positive off news meets positive on the pitch news.
Yeah.
I completely agree.
I'm really excited, and you know we'll probably have a good look at that and give our thoughts on that maybe when the designs come out and see what we think. But one final point as well. I noticed that the Birmingham City Women's Ladies lost at home to Charlton, which is it was top versus second.
Right, 1-0, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was an early goal from Charlton, and you know that's a shame that happened. But you know, still plenty of time way to go in the season. So just say to the Birmingham City Ladies, keep going. I think there might be 2 that go up because
I think you're right.
So it's not, you know, it's not disastrous, but it's one of them games.
They changed the rules this year, didn't they? It's normally 1, isn't it?
But I think they're restructuring, and I think now obviously it used to be last season it was called the Women's Championship. It's now the WSL2, isn't it?
Yeah.
So anyway, I just thought I'd mention that they you know looking at those results. Charlton. Every time you see Charlton and Blues, you think Charlton always seem to be the team with either men's or women's that seem to scupper us, don't they?
Yeah.
But yes, just keep on going. Like keep right on, ladies. You know, and keep pressing for that promotion. And but I've got nothing else really, Matt. I mean, obviously, I wanted to just to sort of get your opinions on and thoughts on things. But have you got anything else?
I'm still, obviously, it's a complete unknown, but I'm still fascinated to know how this video goes out after the Millwall result and whatever happens there, because I'm sure the comments will be dictated a lot by that game.
Yeah,
but,
well, I think we made it clear enough times for the podcast that this is recorded because you're away.
I just think
this is recorded before the Millwall game.
I just think it's really funny because what happens in that result will dictate the mood of the fan base. So either we're going to get a lot of, doomsday, or we're going to get a lot of, yes, we're going to the Premier League. It depends on where we are after the Millwall game. So that's making me giggle a little bit in my head, seeing the anticipation around that. But no, Dad, very much on the Blues football roller coaster. I'm enjoying the season so far. You know, we've got some big games coming up off the top of my head. You know, looking forward to seeing Norwich at home, Baggies away coming up soon, Middlesbrough away soon as well next weekend. So lots of football to play. Still early days, that's in my opinion. And looking forward to what the season holds.
Yeah, me too. I mean, we're 13 games into a 46-game season, so there's still plenty of football to be played. And obviously, we've got we're into November now, and we'll have the busy Christmas period. And the season just sort of takes its own life, doesn't it? Really, but it's really nice, isn't it? I mean, I'm sure you'll admit it's great being back in the Championship, but love to know your thoughts on anything, really. We've just picked a few things on our minds. Is there anything on your mind that we haven't discussed that you'd like to let us know? Add a comment below. Let us know your thoughts on whatever. Let us know your thoughts on anything that myself and Matt have discussed. And, we're always happy to see your comments and respond. to what you're saying. So as always, hope you enjoyed the podcast, and if you did, don't forget to give us a thumbs up. And if you haven't checked us out on our social media channels already, pop along to our X page and our Instagram page. And if you'd like to watch or listen to your podcast on Spotify, you'll find us on there as well, and you'll see the handles appearing on the screen for all these channels right now. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already and you'd like to, hit that big red subscribe button. And if you'd like notifications every time myself and Matt put out a podcast, and hit that little bell icon next to the subscribe button to allow that to happen. So that's it for this one. I hope you enjoyed it, and myself and Matt will see you on the next one, all about Birmingham City.